G'day and welcome to the Spirited Speaker Series. Today we kick off a three-part episode with Richard Shotton, the author of the mind-blowing book, The Choice Factory, a bestseller on how to apply the findings of behavioural science with marketing. Welcome Richard, and thanks for joining us today, mate. Our question is, how do you think shoppers' habits will change post-COVID, and what can retailers do to adjust their approach to leverage this change in shopper behaviour?
The current crisis will affect brands and retailers in many ways. Lots of these impacts are being discussed at the moment. But one area that isn't being discussed enough is the impact of the crisis on habits. And I think there is both a risk and an opportunity for retailers here. Habits account for an awful lot of our behaviour. Some psychologists estimate that about 50% of our decisions and our behaviours are habitual. In fact, consumers have so many decisions to make every day that they can't weigh up these decisions in a fully considered, rational, thought through manner. Because if they did, the sheer effort would make those consumers grind to a halt. So what many of them do is, in certain situations, they just default back to what they did in the last similar circumstance. They behave and they buy in a habitual way. That's brilliant if your current customer is behaving in the way that you want, but if they're not shopping with you, it's a bit of a problem. How do you persuade them to shop with you if they're not even weighing up the different merits of each different retailer when they go into market? Habit, therefore, is a bit of a problem for brands. But behavioural science doesn't just tell us about some of the problems that we have. It also identifies some of the solutions. And one of the solutions is around the impact of life events on habits. So when I say life event, I mean someone gets divorced, or they marry, or they retire, or they move house. That's what I'm calling a life event. And it's well known that these life events destabilise habits in many different commercial areas. That's not just speculation. So back in 2017, I surveyed 2,370 consumers, and I asked them two simple questions. First of all, I said to them, have you undergone a life event in the last 12 months? Tick the ones that apply. Married, divorced, retired, moved house, started university, had a child. Lots of different life events. We then asked people a few other questions just to throw them off the scent. And then the final question was, and have you tried a new brand or got a new favourite brand in any of these categories in the last 12 months? Tick the ones that apply. So we asked them about lagers and coffee shops and fashion brands and so on and so forth. And our key finding was that when someone had undergone a life event, they were much more likely to have tried new brands and got new favourites. So amongst the group who hadn't undergone a life event, about 8% of them had tried a new brand in each category. But when you looked at people who had undergone a life event, 21% of them had tried a new brand. So that's almost a threefold increase. It's about a 2.5-fold increase. So the key thing is, if someone undergoes a life event, their habits become weakened and they at least consider other brands. And crucially, it's in a really wide variety of brands and shops. So for example, if you have got married, you might try you're more likely to have tried a new lager, you're more likely to have tried a new fashion shop. Again and again, we see that when someone undergoes a life event, their habits are destabilised, even in unrelated areas. Now, why is this important now? Well, arguably, the lockdown, and in a few months' time, the release of the lockdown, that is like the entire country undergoing one big giant life event. So what we do expect to happen is that there'll be a large number of people being prepared to try new behaviours. Now think about what this means for you. When people return to airports, when they are back in that shopping environment, it is an opportunity and a threat for you. It's an opportunity because it's easier to get people to try your shop for the first time. It's an opportunity because you can, maybe for existing customers, get them to try more premium ranges. It's an opportunity in general for retail, in that many people who might have gone to an airport and never bothered looking at the shops or browsing, they may be in market now. So there's a big opportunity to bring in new customers. But at the same time, there's a threat. You can't rely on people who used to shop with you or used to buy high-end goods continuing to do the same thing. So now is the time to think of what are the promotions, what are the marketing strategies that you are going to do to retain existing customers and win new customers. Because the 6 to 12 months after lockdown ends, that is a real opportunity to you. And if you can seize it, it could be a profitable one.
Thanks, Richard. Brilliant to get some tips there on how to retain customers, but also how to gain new customers post a COVID world. So something we're all going to need in travel retail. Now, folks, Richard's going to be back with us next week to talk about an amazing topic of price sensitivity and behavioural science. Very pertinent in the world we are living in today. Looking forward to catching up then. So, cheers.